Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another edition of the Pure Digital Passion Podcast with me, Moses Kemi Barrow. Wherever you're joining us from, this is where we have incredible conversations about technology and the convergence of business and all things digital in Kenya and across the African continent. And every so often, we have a guest who walks into this studio whose career reads less like a CV and more like a living history of African and technology business. And today, guys, this is one of those days. My guest is none other than Tito Alai, a marketer, a strategist, and a brand builder whose 4-decade journey spans some of the most consequential commercial stories on this continent and beyond. Tito started his career on the factory floor at East African Industries, which is well known as being what is today Unilever, and part of the Unilever's fast-track management program that he was a part of many years ago. Through this process, he rose through the brand management ranks, product group leadership, and also various marketing roles, before being expatriated to London to serve as the international brand manager for Unilever's Global New Markets division covering Latin America, South Asia, and ultimately the world's low-income consumer segment. So this in itself is a remarkable demonstration of Tito's background. But then Tito decided to come home, and when he did, he arrived at the precise moment that Africa's internet era was just beginning. He joined Africa Online, where I also worked. And I remember when we used to talk about Tito, Tito was something of a legend in marketing circles even then. And he was one of really the people who made sure or helped Africa Online to become a pan-African internet business, where he was the director of sales, marketing, and customer service. He helped define their growth strategy and took them from where they were to even listing on the London Stock Exchange, as well as the Nairobi Securities Exchange, which I think today is still one of the few companies that has come from the technology side of things and become a public listed company here in Kenya. And of course, Tito, of course, his story carries a lot of resonance for me, because he's somebody I've known for many years, but more importantly, I think he's been very much the fabric of the technology revolution and the digital transformation of Africa at large. From there, he moved on to what would become some of the defining chapters of African telecoms. He worked at Celtel International, which you may know was the precursor to what Airtel is today. He worked there as the chief commercial officer, and he helped make the network grow significantly from 500,000 subscribers to 17 million in 3 years. If you look at those numbers, those are incredible. Growing revenues from only $266 million all the way to $3.2 billion. He championed the first multi-country one network borderless service that fundamentally changed how Africans call one another across borders. He also launched Celpay, which is a precursor to what is M-Pesa today, at least 5 years before that actually happened. And again, this was an award-winning mobile payments platform that was a continental first and a forerunner for everything that we know about mobile money today. When Celtel became Zain, he stepped up into the role of Group Chief Commercial Officer, a role that put him in charge of creating and launching the Zain brand globally across 16 markets and growing the subscriber base from 27 million to an impressive 72 million, and also launching Zap, which was the mobile money service that is now known as Airtel Money since its acquisition across 12 markets. Since then, he served as the CEO of Mimi Africa, commercial ventures platform operating across technology, media and telecoms, financial services, and consumer goods. And he's also the director and global head of communications and events at the African Export-Import Bank, Afreximbank, where he transformed the institution's brand equity during the COVID era and brought African vaccine acquisition trust to global attention. Tito also happens to be a published author. He served as the international boards of both Amref Health Africa, at D-Light, which we know works in the energy space, and he also speaks English, Kiswahili, French, and colloquial Arabic. In short, Tito understands the intersection of consumers, brands, and technology across Africa and the world in a way that very few people actually can. This is a conversation I've been looking forward to for a number of weeks, and I'm really excited to have Tito here. Tito, karibu sana.
Thank you, Moses. Well, that's...
it's a long CV.
Really a wonderful introduction and summing up of my wide-ranging or multifaceted career.
Yeah.
So, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me to your fantastic podcast.
Thank you for having us. And, for me, this is an honor. I think you and I have been having conversations for weeks now.
That's true.
Seeing that we sort of tend to meet at the same restaurant where, we are here at the studio. And I think really the genesis of this conversation was, I think, so many interesting things that you've been involved in over the years. So I do hope our 1 hour session will be enough to cover that adequately. But I think for me, what really inspired me so much to have this conversation is kind of that arc that you went on. And I want to talk about the early days. You're at Nairobi University, or University of Nairobi as it's known. You found yourself at East African Industries, which is part of Unilever. And then you got this opportunity to go, obviously, to the UK where you took up this international space. But I understand that maybe the early days, the beginning, your formative years, maybe going back to high school even. Who is Tito? Where does he come from? How does he come from there and become who he is today?
Yeah, I'm conscious that we are going to discuss career matters. But you're right, because life doesn't start at the beginning of your career.
Yes.
Life starts at birth. In my case, my life started in Kirinyaga, where I was born at the Kerugoya District Hospital.
Fantastic.
And the day I was born, before my mom went into labor, my dad, who was serving as the district commissioner for Kirinyaga.
Your dad was a DC?
He was a DC.
Awesome.
The cadre of, the first Africans who were taking over from colonial Mzungus. Huh? And he had gone to attend to a matter that was rather urgent. So he left in his Land Rover with two administration police guys, his askaris with their rifles. They went to deal with rogue elephant that was trampling all over shambas of the guys
farmers over there.
Right.
Yes.
So it was an issue. So he went to attend to this thing, and meanwhile I was born. So African names have meaning. So of course I was promptly named Oliech, which means I kind of was imbued with a bit of the rogue elephant spirit. Right?
That's brilliant. There's always a legend behind African names. They're never normal, eh?
Yeah. Apart from these European names that we kind of label ourselves with meaningful African names, right?
Yes.
Anyway, let's fast forward because I know that we want to crack on with the thing. But from Kirinyaga, my early years were actually spent in Muhoroni because my parents had bought a farm there. That was where the homestead was while he moved around. So I grew up there on a farm, as a kid, proper. Kind of chasing butterflies, climbing trees to check out birds' nests, that sort of thing, running after lizards, running away from snakes, that sort of thing. And then at the age of 6, I was sent to Kitale Primary School from Zoya as a boarder. So I've been at boarding school from the age of 6.
Oh my, so young.
And very young. But as we say, I'm just giving you highlights of this because we know that the past always leaves fingerprints on who you become.
It's foundation.
Yeah, who you become, who you are today. Anyway, so I did boarding school there. I passed very well. And I then went to Lenana School.
Of course, Lenana.
Yeah, where, again, a great school, fantastic school. And what it taught me is to just poke your fingers into everything that's on offer, So if it's football, if it's rugby, if it's hockey, swimming, the works, drama.
Lenana was always big on sports.
Yeah, very big on sports and extracurricular stuff. And in spite of all that, I mean, it was not an academic hothouse by any means, like Alliance or anything like Mango. Because your standing was based on how active you are. So what you put in is what you get out of it.
Correct.
I was fortunate that I was good across the board because you might ask me what drove you into all this commercial stuff or business, as it were. And I think the significant inflection point, if I may call it that, was that in those days, as you know, especially when you go to A level, you had to choose whether you're going to take sciences, physics and all that stuff, or you're going to take.
I remember there's always the arts.
The arts.
Yeah.
And sciences were kind of first class citizens, and the arts were what you did when you couldn't understand maths.
Things were quite brutal those days. It was cut and dry. This or that.
It's either this or that. So if you can't handle trigonometry and calculus and sort of slide rules before we got.
I remember.
Then you ended up doing arts. Now in my case, I had a dilemma because I was good in everything. So I got A's in, or was it 1 point or whatever it was, in mathematics, in physics, in biology, and all that stuff. But then I was equally good in some of these humanities, if you like, geography and French. I loved.
And you're equally interested in that sense, yeah?
Yeah. I was equal. So the issue was, where was I going to end up?
Correct.
And for some reason, I decided not to go the science route. So I went the
humanities side.
Yeah. So I said, I want to do geography, A-level.
How was that received at home?
French. It was a bit of an issue because our parents those days wanted you to be engineers, wanted you to be
doctors, lawyers,
that sort of thing.
Yes.
So it was a bit controversial, but my dad at that time, I come from a very large family, so all my forebears had tried that science route. And here I came and I said, now I want to do something different.
Wow.
And the guy, after a while, he said, okay.
He just grew
That's what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you choose these subjects before your final exams. But anyway, when the results came out, I was told the other day by a guy who used to be my head of house, Chacha Odera. He went to the school and there's a board there of students of the year.
Yeah.
He saw my name there. So for that year, I was the top guy.
Wow.
And so there was this pressure to reconsider, right? And as I heard it, there was a row in the staff room because the science teachers were saying, this guy has to take chemistry. I mean, he was the best in the thing. And physics, he was the best in the thing, and maths and all that stuff. So, this is a bit of a waste if he ends up doing geography and stuff.
Wow.
But the geography teacher who I liked, he kind of put his foot down and said, I talked to this guy, but he told me he wants to do geography. It's not that he has to, he wants to do it.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing economics, geography, French, and maths, just to keep a bit analytical.
That must have been very controversial under those circumstances. Huh?
It was.
Wow.
And but I enjoyed it. And then because we are talking about life, let me put it this way, that it's never smooth. It's not linear. You come across challenging times and all that sort of stuff. My father died when I was in sixth form. I did one term.
Literally at the end of high school. Oh.
At the end of high school, which was a bit challenging. But I graduated with 4 principal points. I didn't exactly have all A's and all that stuff, all the things that I went through. And then went back to the farm to kind of sort out the estate and all this.
All this happening things. At the same time, huh? So you do well academically, your father's passed on.
Yeah,
now before you can go to university, you're having to do the family matters as well.
Yeah, so kind of fortunate in a sense that my elder guys were already occupied. So, of course, they had to go back to their jobs. They had to go back to So I was a guy who actually had a bit of time. The gap between A-level and University of Nairobi. So, and I took a year and a bit, 2 years almost, doing that, sorting out the farm and all that, which I enjoyed anyway. Then I joined the University of Nairobi, Bachelor of Commerce, Marketing, that sort of thing. And after that, I joined Unilever's graduate management scheme, which, I got the offer and all that stuff.
Let's talk a little bit about your time in UN, because I imagine that was also instructive. Yeah. What comes next, right? Because now you're coming from maybe, subjects that are not entirely aligned with what you're pursuing as a university degree. But obviously within that, I'm just wondering, what was that like? And sort of, because I feel like it sort of builds now the foundation to who you become, BCom, marketing.
Yeah.
What was that like for you at UN? What were some of the takeaways for you from that experience?
Well, let's be honest. It was because Lenana School had this culture where you became more senior.
Yes.
Each year you were given a bit more responsibility. By the time you arrive in sixth form, the final year.
Yes.
Especially if you're appointed head of house, you get your own suite there. In my case, I was also deputy head of school. and all that, even though I was fired.
A story for another day, yeah?
That's a story for another day. But anyway, so you're a privileged guy.
Yeah.
You're looked up to. And then you come to University of Nairobi.
Back to zero.
You're back to zero, and, and it's great. I mean, diversity has always been part of my life. You
Yes.
I've been Kitale Primary School. People are from all over the place. I was with Kiprono Kitoni here.
Those are your peers,
in
yeah?
Vuka. I was with people like John Morris Ohaga and all that.
Wow.
So people from all over, and of course, Dr. Alan Kohole, who was always first in class, unless it was me, of course.
Yes.
But so you end up with friends that are from all over, and that was Kenya, as it were. At least my experience of it.
Yes.
And then moving all over, kind of Kirinyaga, Kitale, Muhoroni.
As part of your growing up, huh?
As part of your growing up. So when you arrive in University of Nairobi, it's not as traumatic because you're used to interacting with people.
And moving around and all that, yeah.
But then, to be honest, if you're at Lenana, you're not exactly, competing against the guys from the districts, those schools who then make it. So it becomes even more of a melting pot, which was fantastic for
complete
comrades.
diversity, yeah?
Yeah,
Every
all
corner
the
of the
diversity, you're all in the same boat, you're all in the same halls, and, you're rubbing along happily. So that was great for first year.
Okay.
And the other thing is, for some reason, I got into student politics straight from year one as the faculty, but the responsible side of student leadership, because we had this thing of faculty reps, so to speak, as who would hold lecturers to account if they're not turning up, if they're kind of, whatever it was, yeah?
Yeah.
Which was good. You interact with deans and all that stuff. And so that also kept me going. But in spite of that, I kind of got twitchy. I remember after first year, I decided to drop out.
What?
Yeah.
Completely?
Completely. I went home. I went to my mom.
No way.
Took the train to Muhoroni. I said, Mom, I'm dropping out. She says, why? I say, I don't know what I'm doing. This thing is not as tough as A-level.
What?
Yeah.
You are not feeling challenged?
Yeah, it's not challenging, I can deal with it and all that stuff, but it's not challenging per se. So I'm bored. I think I want to come back and drive things, let me do whatever I was doing before I joined, transport and farming.
I'm feeling the OLH is becoming manifested here, yeah?
That's what so I did drop out. And my mom then told me, reverse psychology. She says, okay, fine.
She let you do your thing.
She says, okay, get on with it. But after maybe 10 days or so, she summoned me and said, but now, what exactly is the reason that you want to drop out? And I said, it's actually boredom. It's not anything, really. I think I can challenge myself a lot more doing other things, maybe entrepreneurial stuff, growing whatever I was doing before. Because I had a workshop going, I had some tractors there. I was, actually I turned the thing around and it was profitable.
As a business, yeah.
Yeah,
wow.
just, And then she says, well, what harm will it do you to have a piece of paper in the form of a degree flapping around? It'll do you no harm. So I thought about it and said, actually, you're right. I jumped on the train and went back to university.
After your 10 days?
Yeah, after my holiday.
Awesome.
I turned back up. So so there were those sorts of things. And so university was fantastic. I loved it.
So talk to us about the process of getting into Unilever, or rather East African Industries as it was called then. That again was people in marketing and when you look at the alumni of Unilever, people like Procter & Gamble.
Sure.
It's one of the most hallowed names when it comes to branding and marketing and communications. And of course, products that touch millions and millions of people globally. What was that like? I think getting in, possibly, that's the first step. And then, of course, I think you had a very rapid progression, not just in Kenya, but eventually going to London. Can you tell us a little bit about how getting in was like, and then moving up the ranks and eventually getting to London. And I think you shared with me a little bit of the anecdotal side of that before, that it was an interesting way in which you got picked for that. Yeah.
Very true, because honestly, whether from perception from the outside or guys like us who were privileged to work at Unilever, it was the best company in the world. I still believe that it was exceptional. Now, in terms of process of getting in there, I had no plan. It was not in my radar.
Really?
Because I was hardly okay. Let's be okay. I was attending a few lessons here and there.
You were breezing through.
But yeah, I was breezing through, doing kind of what I had to do.
Yes.
And so I was not as driven to get a first class and honors and all that stuff.
You're just coasting, basically.
I think so. I think I was not motivated to achieve academically, because I'd done it before, and it was not really something that put fire in my belly. So the process in those days was that Unilever conducted what they called the milk round. So they went from university to university and asked the faculties, say, give us your brightest students to interview. So, and they did that. Why I'm saying it was the best launch pad is that engineers, kind of insurance guys, marketing, finance, lawyers, everybody was recruited or was interviewed because they needed this multidisciplinary kind of cadre of people.
For the different aspects of the business.
The different aspects of the business, for production, for supply chain, for marketing and all that stuff. And then also, luckily, Unilever in those days believed that brand was everything. Yeah, so brand was everything. So the career path, the best career path in those days was marketing and brand management and everything. We're really passionate about brands and building them and all that stuff. And you saw at the bottom. So they came to campus to do this milk round process. And since traditionally it's just the top guys, went there, I was among the top. I graduated with the honors, but they were the lower second class honors, right? So it was not even first class. It was not upper second. My degree is lower second class honors, right? So honestly, I just it was not something in my radar. But I got called into the room because they had added some criteria there, which kind of squeezed the camel through the eye of the needle.
You are now under consideration, huh?
Yeah, because they told the guys, could you throw in some wild card, which is people who have displayed some leadership.
X factor,
potential, or whatever it was. And so they suggested my name. So I went in and went for those interviews. They were they give you case studies, you debate them, they're a panel, they're looking, and they're checking the group dynamics, that sort of thing, yeah? And we went in there. And so I got an offer, actually, to join this management trainee program. And I joined with people like Patricia, Tao.
Wow, you're the same cohort.
Yeah, wow. Same class and same cohort. Awesome. So those are some of the things. Sorry for name dropping. But those are the guys, people like Joe Muganda and Ian Kabiru, those sorts of guys. So those were my kind of peers. Peter Arena was, I think, a year or two ahead. So that was it. So that was the process. Which now, in terms of decision making, I also attended a few interviews, and I was lucky. I got an offer from Coca-Cola
as well. Wow.
Yeah, but Coca-Cola offered 8,500 shillings, and Unilever offered 9,000. So
500 bob.
Yeah, 500 shillings. It was a no-brainer.
And you could have been a Coke man otherwise.
No. It was a no-brainer. 500 shillings was significant.
Wow, and they're both strong marketing organizations, right? Brand building. If you think about it, they're both, pretty significant. Yeah.
Yes, I'd have been quite happy with Coca-Cola, but compared to Unilever or East Africa Industries at
that point in time,
it was
it was more appealing to you.
No contest.
Yeah.
So I joined Unilever. Okay, then this was some of the happiest times of my life because, one, you get attached to a mentor once you join as this graduate trainee. And my mentor was Isaac Ratemo, I think he was the most senior guy in practicing these arts. He was heading one of the divisions, which was home care.
Okay.
So Unilever had those three stools, home care, foods, and personal care. So he was the guy heading that. And I was attached to him, not that I was reporting to him, but, just to have a senior guy kind of giving you tips as you move around. And then you moved from department to department to know what the company is about. So you start in inbound logistics. You see where the palm oil is coming from. It's being poured into those tanks.
Basically how things are actually cooked.
The whole process.
Yeah.
And you also go as a cohort to listen to these directors. So you listen to people like Chasarem, who was finance guy, telling you about it. You listen and
you're sitting in meetings.
Listening. You're sitting there and listening. So it was fantastic, and I enjoyed it tremendously. But having done a bit of that round robin, they then now give you a real job to do. And in my case, so you can start anywhere. So some started as assistant brand managers in the office, you start your thing. In my case, I started as a sales representative, which was fantastic because you then got a new car.
I remember this, all the companies, the Cokes and all that would give you it was very prestigious. I remember this because I had colleagues of mine, classmates of mine who went to this, and they'd have a nice pickup branded and they'd be visiting the retailers and taking orders and stuff like this. Yes. Yeah. So you were one of those guys.
I was one of those guys.
Fantastic.
It was tremendous. And Unilever was a fantastic testing ground. You start by knowing where the rubber hits the road, as it were, where you're actually selling these things. You've got targets to meet and all that.
Boots on the ground proper, eh?
Yeah. So you're selling all over the place. And in those days, there were no mobile phones. So it taught you to manage yourself because you turn up on Monday to just kind of compose yourself, do a bit of paperwork, and then you hit the road and you disappear until Friday. When you come back you do some reports and all that, then you go off for the weekend. And I loved it. I was a relief field sales guy because in those days you're given a territory and as a salesman, but for reasons of governance, and you have to take your holiday in one go.
Yes.
So for 6 weeks, you're out. Somebody new with a totally fresh eye comes, takes over your territory, runs it.
Wow.
And all that sort of stuff. So if there's any fiddling going on, this new guy will not, he will find it out somehow. And so I ended up selling all over the country. It was fantastic.
And I imagine that level, because now I'm trying to sort of connect the dots between sales and marketing.
Yeah.
When you're on the ground, you're talking to the retailers, you're seeing the consumer behavior, there's probably activations and experiential things happening.
Right.
You're really getting the subtle nuances, even on regional matters, Mombasa versus northern Kenya.
Yeah.
You're really understanding that consumer behavior on the ground, isn't
Correct.
it?
Yeah.
And all those nuances. And then how do you map the product? How does the campaign function?
Yeah.
How is this actually driving sales? How's this promotion impacting numbers?
True, because, and I'm really happy that I started right at the bottom in sales. Because when I landed in brand management and at Unilever as a brand manager or even a junior brand manager, you're given all the responsibility, but no authority. Okay? So you've got to get results. You're in charge of the P&L for your brand or your product group. And you've got to deliver it, but you don't have direct reports per se. But you're delivering it through production people to meet your volume quotas. You're delivering it through sales guys out in the field.
So you're orchestrating, essentially.
Yeah. You're coordinating the whole thing, because if you're not effective in terms of using your influence, persuasion, whatever it is, to get your the attention, then you'll not perform, right? And a lot of times it's shared resources, because when the salesman goes out there, he's selling all the brand portfolio, right? So if it's not focused on yours, it might suffer. So there's that sort of internal competition for
building goodwill with people
and all that stuff. And then the agency is very important, because if you're going to run an ad campaign and it doesn't make things tick, or you're going to relaunch your thing, then what are you doing it for? Or you're running a promotion and it has no traction, then similarly, you don't get the results. So this teaches you the interpersonal kind of skills, a different way of leadership, because you're not leading through kicking people around. They'll boot you out of their offices.
And it's subtle influence.
It's how are you communicating your ideas? How persuasive are they? How compelling is it? And that was really invaluable.
Fantastic.
But the point that you raise is that, having come from the field, if I was doing something really significant and I loved it, like launching a new brand, launching a new variant, relaunching a tired brand like Lady Gay, you might remember it, things like those, then I knew the psychology of the salesman and the distributors, which means I could incentivize them. So, and sometimes it all it was just making a call to every sales guy in the field and telling them, guys, push this.
I need your help.
It's me.
Yeah. Yes.
I was with you in the field. Let's push this thing. Let's leather it. And that way you really do achieve results, either through stock pressure or whatever they do.
So let's switch gears to the London moment. How does that happen? How does that come to be? Because now you're in brand management, you've moved from sales.
Yeah.
How does this come to happen?
It happened because I was moving around a bit. I started as a brand manager in detergents and as assistant brand manager. And then I moved to foods, where I was a brand manager for some of the biggest brands around at that time, which was Kimbo and
the Roycos and all that.
No, just Blue Band and Kimbo.
Okay. Right. Which are, of course, huge.
They were huge. They were very, very big. And then I then moved to Elida Ponds, which was a different factory, different.
As part of the broader Unilever.
As part of the broader Unilever, but it was our personal care subsidiary with Vaseline and all those sorts of things. I started with the dental care product group, so I was looking after Close Up, and I launched a few brands that died, like AIM and stuff like that. Then I got promoted to actually be one of the heads of these three-legged stools. So I was marketing manager for the entire Elida Ponds portfolio.
Wow.
And going to London, it happened in a strange way. And what happened was, because of making those presentations, and you remember how we used to make presentations, you have to print out your
back in the day
on a clear.
Oh my! When you had to put the slide.
Yeah, you have to put it on an overhead projector.
Oh, I forgot about that. It was. Oh my God! It's such a big deal those days.
It was a big deal. It was a big deal.
Wow.
There was no projection straight from a computer or whatever. So Unilever being a global company, so people come from head office, you to present, you do these things, and because of that passion and everything, enjoying what you do, I think it came to some, international attention somehow.
Some notoriety had been
seen. Somehow. Because the market director told me, look, we are sending you to London for exposure. Yeah, you're going to meet people and all that stuff. There's some job there, but you're not going to get it, right? Let's be clear, you're not going to get it. But it's fantastic because you are being put forward as the Africa candidate, as it were. But it's not going to happen, So the great thing is you're going to see London and you'll meet the bigwigs in the corridors of Unilever House.
Wow.
And I went for that. He put me up in the center of London, Leicester Square, Piccadilly Circus, that sort of thing. And then I would go at daytime to meet Unilever guys, informally, from office to office. I don't know who these guys are. And we were just having discussions.
What is the period? What is the time frame here? How long are you there in London?
In London, no, I was there for maybe 3 or 4 days.
Okay, so there's a brief.
It was brief. It was not. The focus was actually discussing these things with these guys. So I forgot about it. I came back, carried on with my exciting job as marketing guy for
Leader Ponds.
Leader Ponds, fantastic job, everything. And when we say fast track, it was really fast track because don't forget this was 4 years after I joined the company.
Really? So within 4 years, you've gone all the way to the top there. Actually.
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
So you're one of the young Turks, I think they call them. You're one of the young guys.
I was the youngest.
Wow.
Because I was now occupying a seat which used to people you do not even get to that level before.
Were you in your 20s at this point?
I was 28. Yeah.
Wow. Impressive.
And but these were jobs where, when we say the guys who were training us on forever, were guys who were 20 years with Unilever. They were 10 years minimum before you reached such a
so thing. You were really on the fast track here.
An outlier.
Completely. Wow.
So, so I came back, carried on, and then I started getting calls from London. In those days, it goes through the switchboard. Say, hello, Mr. Alai. Is that Tito Alai? Yeah. Say, we are calling to ask when you can report to London.
You're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you talking about? So let me put you back to the switchboard. There's a problem. Maybe they'll route you to the right extension.
So you literally put it down and
literally.
I don't know what this guy's talking about. Yeah.
Because I'd forgotten and in any case, I'd been reassured it was just a jolly. Yeah?
Wow.
Anyway, eventually they asked me, didn't you come for an interview some months ago in London? I said, oh, yeah, I actually did. I said, well, you got the job. Nobody has told you? I said, nobody has told me. I said, you got the job.
So you didn't even know you're on an interview. You just knew you were visiting.
Well, that's what they told me. There's some process.
An immersion session, whatever.
Yeah, but these are international things. So Asia has their candidate, America has their candidate,
so
Europe has their candidate, everybody has their
Everyone sent their preferred candidate. And what you didn't realize is you're actually in a competitive process, as it were.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but the reason they were impressing upon me that I won't get it is that you'll get demotivated if you start, and usually it was not one of those expatriations where you're sent to a similar company in Ghana or Malawi or India or whatever to get a same operational experience, but
a lateral move
at a different company. And when you come back, you're a more senior guy. Those things of that camaraderie that we used to have. But to cut a long story short, I went to the directors and said, I've got these strange calls from London that I'm supposed to go. Are you guys aware of this stuff? They say, yeah, wow, you've done us proud. Congratulations. Wow. I say, but why didn't you tell me? They say, because for such a position, Unilever has to justify why an expatriate isn't required. And if there's no qualified Mzungu, so they had to justify this. Home Office has to give you a work permit.
It's a whole process.
So if we start telling you you've got the job and then these guys say, actually, we could not justify.
You have to lower your expectations.
Lower your expectations, and which is a great way to do it. So I was delighted. and moved to London at the age of 29.
Let's dive into, Tito, let's dive in. So you get the London position, you go to London, presumably. Yeah. And what's that like, switching from Kenya to London? What's that experience like?
Oh, it was a huge step up. Yeah, because my first role was regional market support manager for Latin America.
Oh.
So 20
So not even London as such, but you're based in London, but you're handling
based
Latin
in London HQ, but I'm coordinating strategic stuff for Latin America.
Wow. And this is again in the lower income segments, right? Is that correct?
No. This one was before I moved to the low income.
This is broadly speaking.
This is just broadly speaking support.
And imagine the sheer scope and the magnitude of responsibility must have been mind-boggling.
I remember going to my boss and saying, "Boss, there's something wrong with the numbers that I'm looking at for just one country, really Brazil." And he says, what's wrong with the numbers? And I say, there are too many zeros. Because when I compare the volume of Omo or whatever I used to be used to.
In Kenya, yeah.
And then you see Omo in Brazil, and you're saying millions of, what? Is that possible?
So just the sheer size.
Because for us, you hit 1,000 tons, you're really trying.
Wow.
Anyway, so it was a big step up. The most important thing for me was that it then helped me make the transition from being a very, very good operating manager who is able to perform.
Multi-market, multicultural, all these things.
Well, those things, but also really the difference between strategic role and an operating role.
So now you're really at a different level, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, because one, I don't have a factory to push around and say, give me the volumes. I don't have brands that I say, these are my brands. I don't have a sales force. And my targets are so nebulous that I cannot judge the impact of my performance from month to month or even week to week,
Wow.
Which becomes a bit kind of discombobulating, to use a big word. So you don't know where you are.
And you're working through layers of people to achieve outcomes, right?
Yeah, through maybe marketing directors and making presentations to senior people at head office and stuff like that.
So that's a completely different perspective now, isn't it?
Totally different, because at first you go in there and you think when somebody sends you an email from Peru saying we want to launch a laundry brand because there's a niche we are not serving adequately, and using my East Africa Industries mindset, I said, this guy is a marketer. He doesn't know how to launch a laundry soap brand. Let me give him advice based on what I used to do. So make sure you're packaging, you're this, you're that, you're that, you're that. So I composed this email. I ran it via my boss. I said, look, I received this thing. And he said, no, you've got it wrong. You've got it wrong. Because everything you're putting there, you think the guy doesn't know.
He's at that level already.
The guy is launching. He knows he knows this stuff. So you're answering the wrong question. And the way to do it, he suggested, was you receive this email, you send it to the Packaging Center of Excellence in Vlaardingen in Holland. You send it to the Engineering Center of Excellence in Port Sunlight in Liverpool. You send it to the Fragrance Center of Excellence in Paris. You send it to all these guys. Send it to the head of Ogilvy and Mather, whatever. And then you go and play golf. You wait.
This must have been a bit unnerving for you.
Very unnerving.
Just to sort of, so what is my job now?
Exactly. You don't know what your job is and all that. So after 3 months, I go and say, boss, I don't understand what I'm doing. I don't know whether I'm working. I don't know. Because you attend a meeting in the morning, and then you adjourn, and people check their diaries. When do we continue this thing? And then, so I told my boss, I don't know. It's not.
You're not getting the texture.
Yeah, so he says, relax, you're doing a fantastic job. You're better than your predecessor, blah, 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 blah. But this is a strategic job. You can't judge your impact day to day. We will see after 2 years or whatever, right? And that's how it was. And so he's just suggested, take it easy. So that was how it was. You have to make the transition. And it's not an easy transition because I saw people in my position who came from Indonesia or wherever, senior guys, and they just couldn't cope with it. They said, this is not my cup of tea. Give me my old job back.
Wow. And it's kind of like an example where I imagine where somebody maybe in a company was a salesman and then they have to become a sales director. That level of transition is usually hard because now before you are dealing with the excitement of making a sale and now you're managing people doing the sales.
You're perfectly right. Because I was resistant to coming from the field to be a brand manager, to be honest. Because that immediacy, that freedom to manage your own itinerary. In my case, when I took over a territory, I would, of course, accompany the guy who's handing over, and he tells me, I see this number of clients on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I do half day, then I do the reporting bit. And I would then come back, and the first guy that this guy would see on Monday, I say, what time does this guy come? He says 8, 8:30, 9. That's the first customer. Tell him, what time do you open your shop? He says, I sweep the floor at 6:30. So I say, I'll be at your door at 7 to pick up your order, right? And then so on and so forth, because my ulterior motive was that by Wednesday, by half the week, I have met 100% of my target. And then whichever brand manager or has put an incentive to push his brands, and I say, I can't miss that incentive.
So you grab that as well?
No, then I supplement. I go back and say, I need to hammer 100% of my target on this or 20 on Wednesday afternoon. And if I'm successful in doing that, then from Thursday, I'm on the weekend.
So you're front loading it.
I front load the thing, and then Thursday, if I've got 110% of my target and all that stuff,
you're winding down.
Weekend.
Fantastic.
So because of that, when you're told step up, you're being kicked upstairs, you don't like it because you're saying, now I have to think about commuting to one office. I don't have this fully fueled car, which I used to drive at terrifying speeds in order to get this thing done. And I was honestly, I was like a rally driver. So that was it. So you're spot on that, and there's no criticism. They're career salesmen who, that is it. They are salespeople. They were born salespeople. If you move them out of that thing, it's like taking a tilapia out of Lake Victoria.
Yeah.
It's not interesting.
So let's talk a little bit about your time at Unilever. It comes to an end. What happens next? How does it come to an end, and where do you go from there?
Yeah, I came to my 10th year anniversary at Unilever. And I asked HR, so what's next for me? Unilever is a very, very good company. So your career is mapped out. Nobody used to get fired. Once you're in, provided you do not
produce the results
intact and, and all that stuff. And even if you're not necessarily performing, it could be your boss, it could be the wrong thing. So you get moved to special projects for a while. You loiter around for a little, then you resume, right? So it was a great place. So I asked HR, now I've come through the cycle. I started from sales and then operating company. I came to a regional job. I've ended up in a global job. So after this, what is it? And they said, you are having a fantastic career. You're really one of those guys, So the plan is, now you go back and do it all over again. So you occupy yourself another 10 years. You go back to an operating company, but now as a director or something. Then you'll come back as a regional, some regional capacity. And then if everything goes well, you'll end up back here in a global role. And so you say, how long will that take? Say, if you're fast track, 20 years, you'll be back.
What? You're probably sitting there looking and saying, this is incredulous.
I looked at it and said, no. I need to keep... what we used to call a steep learning curve. I'm interested in things. I want to... And headhunters had started kind of turning my head a bit. They're saying, well, we are recruiting for this, that, and the other, Coca-Cola, who. But I thought that if it was true that I was moving to maintain a steep learning curve, then I can't jump from Unilever, which has all these products, all these countries, all this stuff. And then I go to sell, somebody's selling just one brand. So I go to Colgate or I go to Coca-Cola. No offense. I mean, these are great companies.
But now you kind of touched and felt this other side of things.
Yeah, the variety, the diversity of stuff, it was just phenomenal. So I said, if I want to learn something new, I better do it in a totally different field and start from scratch. So that was my mindset when, the African Lakes guys had now invested in Africa Online, backing Isi Makatiani, and the CEO of African Lakes was an ex-Unilever guy. In London.
The connection.
Yeah,
so 98?
This is 98.
Yeah, I remember around about then. Yeah. The conversations were happening then, yeah.
Yes. So the issue was, we were saying this African Lakes conglomerate that could recognize what you were doing from functional and all these professionalizing things. There's that inflection point when a startup now goes into fast growth mode, and now you have to change yourself, because if you carry on doing your stuff like a startup, you're going to fail.
Correct.
So some of this institutionalizing of stuff. So I was brought in as
so essentially the Unilever colleague, as it were, is now running African Lakes. He figures you're the right guy.
Yeah.
They're coming into Africa Online, which is the ISP across Africa at that point, a Pan-African ISP run by IEC, AMLO, and so forth. And then they basically make you a compelling offer that you can be with us in this new endeavor.
Yes.
And of course, it gives you an opportunity to come back home as well, right?
Yeah, it does. And I meet great people. IEC, fantastic guy, fantastic boss. Really, I can't speak highly enough of him and my colleagues, senior colleagues at that time. And it was a lovely period. It's a new thing. New brand, new approach to everything, and it's a blank sheet of paper. We are kind of establishing what does this Africa Online mean.
Now, I was there already, as you can imagine. I think I joined the company around 97.
Yeah.
And of course, I was significantly what I'd call on the ground at that point in time. I'm one of the sales equivalents of Unilever. What was that like? Because I imagine... if you're coming from a very grounded, seasoned, 100-year plus business, and now you're in a startup that's probably about 5 years old at that point, maybe even younger, young people, brand is not organized properly. I remember talking to IC once and asking him who designed the logo. There was some guy I knew. So you're coming into this, I suppose it must have felt a bit like a ragtag organization. You're like almost... as we say in Kiswahili, you're coming to Nyorosha thing, right?
Yes.
What is that like, that transition? Yeah.
No, it was exciting, I must say. Because we were all young. We were all in our early
age.
30s.
At that
time.
Point,
And then it was pretty straightforward because it was another category, another brand, and it was, the difference was it was very fast moving. And some of the dynamics were different. It's a service, it's not a product, you're not pushing boxes, and you don't have this retail aspect to it. Even the sales approach,
it's a tech sale.
It's tech sale. There was corporate sales was pretty important if you remember those days.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was a big part of the revenues, selling to enterprise,
That's correct.
Connectivity.
Yeah. So that was a great thing. I think the challenge for me was more from a family point of view. Because, expatriation is not a cakewalk from a family point of view. When I first moved to London, I was a single guy.
Oh, and everything transitioned while you were there. So
I went there, I went in summer, everything was good. Then winter is coming, and I'm wondering, I'm saying, so I came back, I had already proposed. But we were saying, 2 years, 3, we'll go out a bit more and all. So I came back and said, no, we are doing it now. And of course, the family is like, give us time.
It's a big transition.
Everybody, we need to know the family. We need to do some quality control on this wife of yours, potential. And I'm saying, no, I'm a guy in a hurry. I'm getting married.
Wow.
Okay. So we got married and then went back. The day after the wedding, or a couple of days.
Wow.
And started our life there. So now when I'm moving from, and then of course I was traveling intensely.
Yes.
And my daughter was born just at the time I was moving to Africa Online and all that stuff. And then with Africa Online, my family is in the UK. My office for Africa Online purposes is in Nairobi. Okay, I could squat in the African Lakes office at another place in London. But there was that balancing act that at those levels you have to do, because you have to be a whole human being. You're not just, yeah.
One of the most fascinating things at that point, because I was a much younger person then, and like guys were like, this guy doesn't sit in Kenya, he sits in London.
Yeah.
He's working
for,
and everyone was the mystique, exactly, that's the word. They're like, it's because you're kind of this mythological person who does the work, but is not here. This is before remote working.
This is before remote work.
And he's working in London doing stuff for Kenya.
Yeah.
And I think you'd fly and do a few days.
I would fly into Nairobi, we would do our thing, and on top of that, then fly to the subsidiaries, go to Abidjan.
And see what's happening on the ground.
Yeah, because you're making everything, you're aligning everything,
I would say you're one of the first virtual workers of those days. You were not necessarily physically present, but you were, digitally available.
Yes.
And doing work across the continent.
Yeah, that's true.
I think you have done something quite exceptional here.
Yeah.
We've managed to consume our first part of this conversation already.
Yeah.
And we've not even got into the technology side.
We haven't got into the meat and potatoes.
So what I'm going to say is that this is unprecedented. We are not going to be able to conclude today, but what we're going to do is at least we have the foundation story.
That's right.
Where does Tito come from?
Right.
And then above and beyond that, I think when we get to our second part of this conversation, we'll now dig into, let's call it the technology and telecoms piece of your journey. Excellent. And I think that's really where we will start to kind of go a little bit deeper into some of the exciting stuff you did, things like Celpay, how you rebranded Zain, and many of the other initiatives that have come to where you are today. So thank you so much for that. And I'm looking forward to part 2 of our conversation. I didn't realize we'd have so much to cover already.
Yeah.
And it's going to be an exciting conversation going forward.
Thanks so much, Moses. It's been really exciting, stimulating to have this conversation.
We're not done.
Continue.
Part 2, and I hope we can do it very soon. So again, thank you so much. This was again unexpected. We'll stop there for now, but I think what Tito's done is given us a flavor. His foundation is kind of like the building blocks of who he is as a person. And in the part 2 of this conversation, we'll really get into his journey from the time when he was at Africa Online. What did he see? What did he learn? And then how did that set essentially the pieces in place for his time in the other businesses? And I just hope from this particular conversation, we start to get the beginnings of that. And then I'm really excited to get into the second part, which hopefully we'll do within a week. And that'll take us to now the second chapter, as it were, of Tito's career. So thank you so much for joining us for part 1 with Tito Alai. And I look forward to catching you in the next one, which will be part 2. Thank you so much.